indicate the name of the warning sign. Hill or slope. On a street with 3 or more lanes, the center lane is used only for left turns. What is the maximum and minimum speed for driving on a fast road? "70 miles per hour, the maximum, and 50 miles per hour, the minimum. Now, when you intend to turn right at a green light intersection, you must give way to pedestrians and cyclists coming from anywhere. How is this signal named, or what is it called? Crossroad would be the correct answer. A load that extends more than 4 feet over the sides of a vehicle and beyond the rear must be clearly marked during the day with red flags to mark the ends of the load. If you have to cross a bicycle lane to turn right and there is a cyclist traveling in the lane, you must yield to the cyclist and turn behind the cyclist. When driving your car with a child in a booster seat in the back seat, the driver should never take eyes off the road and turn to look at the minor in the back seat. I mean, that's why we have those mirrors that you place and you're able to quickly glance and take a look, make sure that everything's okay. But you do not take your eyes off the road for long periods of time or get distracted because it could cause an accident. If you're going to buy a booster seat for a baby and transport it in your car, you should use the seat established by law and comfortable for your baby. If a driver refuses to submit to a breath test blood test for alcohol, your driving privilege will be suspended for 1 year. When you are preparing to drive before starting the engine, you should make sure you close all the doors of your vehicle. This sign warns us of a low area on the road ahead. Drivers sometimes adopt incorrect ways when driving. The correct way to drive is with both hands holding the steering wheel. If you approach a railroad crossing without control signals, you should be prepared to. Slow down and listen and watch for any trains that might be approaching. If a car suddenly cuts in front of you in your lane and is going to crash into you, honk your horn and flash your lights, brake hard, and maneuver your car to the right edge. You are stopped on a railway line. The train finishes passing, and you can proceed when it's clear and you are sure another train isn't approaching. This sign means that later divided highway ends. Can someone drink alcohol and drive safely? The correct answer would be no one. No one at all can drink alcohol and drive safely. There are intersections with control signals that have sensors to detect vehicles when a car stops with a red light behind the pedestrian line. Alcohol reduces all the skills necessary to drive safely, such as judgment, reaction, vision, and concentration. What is the first thing that alcohol affects? The judgment of a person. A yellow traffic sign, like this one, warns us of right lane reduction. When preparing to drive, you must put on your seatbelt correctly and make sure that all passengers also put on their seatbelts. All drivers and passengers with vehicles manufactured after 1972 are required to travel with a seatbelt in place, unless they have a medical certification stating that they cannot put on the seatbelt. If you're driving on a road and see this traffic sign on your right, it tells us that we are approaching a railway crossing. When you arrive at an intersection and see a pedestrian with a white cane with the intention of crossing, you must stop completely and give way. Take special care when he approaches because he is blind. Always stop before turning right on a red light and look both ways to see if there are pedestrians or cyclists at the crosswalk. If you drive on a road where there are large puddles of water due to heavy rain, when using your brakes, they may not work properly. This is due to hydroplaning, when a tire encounters more water than it can scatter. Motorcycle drivers have the same responsibility as car drivers by law. They must obtain a Class E license or higher, or a motorcycle license. When driving on a main road with traffic lines, choppy white color lines tells us that the vehicles move in the same direction and you can change lane when safe. When you drive on a street with double continuous lines, the drivers must know that passing is not permitted in that area. A solid white line on the pavement indicates that you cannot cross those lines unless it is to avoid an accident or absolutely necessary to do so. When traveling on a residential avenue, you must always yield to vehicles that want to merge into traffic, such as school or passenger buses. When there are cyclists driving in your lane, you should increase following distance and pass with at least 3 feet away. When you are going to change lanes to the right, you need to check if there are vehicles in the blind spot. How would you do this? That is correct. Turning your head and looking over your right shoulder, briefly and carefully. Never pass a stopped vehicle at a stop sign because a pedestrian may be crossing in front of the stopped car. Maybe you can't see it. When trying to drive in reverse, slowly check everything around you. When driving with the window down, you should not rest your elbow on the window. What is the maximum height allowed between the pavement and the bottom of the front and rear bumper of a 3,000-pound, 5,000-pound pickup truck. Correct answer would be 28 inches tall. If you are going to tow another vehicle with a chain or rope, you must place a white flag in the center of the towing chain or rope. Being distracted while driving is extremely risky behavior. Which category is the most dangerous? Sending text messages would be the correct answer. If you are driving and your right wheels come off the pavement, you should apply the emergency brakes. If you have a car with conventional brakes, in case of an emergency, you must pump the brakes to stop in an emergency situation, of course. If you drive a vehicle with conventional brakes in heavy rain and your car starts to skid, you should take your foot off the accelerator and steer your car in a straight line. Turn signals are also required by law when changing lanes, passing a vehicle, or turning. You must always remember to turn on your turn signal always at least 100 feet, 30 meters before turning. Turning a corner may seem like a simple operation, but many crashes occur because drivers do not turn correctly. When making a turn, you should reduce your speed in which you are turning to a safe speed and get into the correct lane in time. The driver's left arm and hand are extended upward. This hand signal means that the driver plans to turn right or change into the right lane. If a driver puts his hand out the left window and keeps it extended outward, he is telling us they intend to turn left or change into the left lane. Now, if a driver puts his hand out the window and keeps it extended downward, he is telling us that he is going to stop or slow down. And disregard the who in front. That was a mistake, but it is intended to say that he or she is going to stop or slow down. Next question. So, when should you double your following distance? When you are behind another car. Precisely when it rains or the roads are wet, there's low visibility, like dusk, dawn, or it's foggy outside. Now, if you drive a heavy truck or a motorhome, you will need to take in account the distance will be double the following distance just because you are now driving a heavy truck or a motorhome. So you need to be extra careful.